Good morning. My beautiful surroundings. It's very peaceful here. I listen to the dawn chorus. There's nobody around. No noise. A verse from the Bible says, the children of desolation. I don't know if it's actually desolation is the word. The children of darkness are more numerous than the Lord's children. We inherit the land. So if you want to be part of the Lord's inheritance, and you don't want to be part of the lake of fire, you have to consider yourself not living in a city anymore. Living outside, probably around a dolmen in a big dome in the future or something like that, and the land repairs itself. But here's the thing, how do you tackle the parasites that Cain created when he built cities, the creatures that feed off your life force? Well, Alexander the Great, or Athelstan, Arthur the Khan, King Callahan the Just, the Rock, there's a bunny rabbit. King Callahan the Just, he burnt down the churches and the monasteries. He burnt down a few of them. He heard the story of such and such a fella's family I was talking to the other day. They joined with the Vikings, the High Kings, and burnt down all the monasteries around here. So I was talking to a guy yesterday whose ancestors actually took part in burning down the monastery at Clonski and all that with my ancestor King Callahan. That was really exciting, you know. I was really chuffed to hear that. And when I talk to this guy, he's on the same wavelength as me about Dublin and stuff like that, because Dublin is a dirty town. A girl I'm planning on doing a rap video for, she has a CD coming up. She's a designer. She has a song and it's called Dirty Dublin, and it is a dirty place. So in order for us to live a long, prosperous, happy life, well, here's some words from Genghis Khan, Temujin, Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin. He says, be of one faith, that you may live long and happy lives and conquer your enemies. Who are our enemies? Well, the children of Cain are our enemies. It says in the book of Enoch that you will make a full end of the children of Cain. How do you identify the children of Cain? Well, Jesus identified them, and he says there are tares amongst the wheat. So we're the wheat, and at the time of the harvest, which is now, you know how the time of the harvest is in the Bible. When you see the masses become rubble, it says then you know it's the time of the harvest. So the children of Cain get bound together and cast into the fire by Jesus and his faithful. So how do you weaken them? Because apparently they're stronger than us now. Well, there's a strategy. We're the type of warriors that won't be bested. We got a strategy here, yo. It's tried and tested to beat the self and no one else. It's the objectives of the free. Defeat the self and no one else. The check set the children free. Cause it's audacious, tenacious, goodness gracious. It's got more front than the faces. We've been waiting for this chance for ages. Turning new pages into new ages. Warrior games, holy Jesus. Well, what you do is you pull down the rock core temples. You ban masonry. You ban the works of masonry, you pull down the temples, you don't build with the rocks anymore, you ban building with carved stones, and you build with hemp plastic and epoxy resins. Epoxy resins will stick hemp plastic together. Hemp plastic is 7 times stronger. A sheet of hemp plastic is 7 times stronger than a sheet of steel. If you want to see something that was built out of hemp plastic that's really amazing, Henry Ford built a car out of plastic. Hemp plastic is really strong, that's why they banned it. So it sort of makes sense. Everyone's thinking, why did they ban hemp? Why did they ban hemp? When they started to build with hemp, the people of the children of desolation, there's something called the abomination to make it desolation. So I think in the Bible there's a verse that says the children of desolation are more numerous than the children of the Lord. So if we had to start to build with epoxy resins and hemp fibre a century ago when all this was happening, the children of desolation would have lost out, because people would easily have chosen epoxy resins and hemp fibre and cob and stuff like that over building with rocks, because they have to be carved and all that. So there's another reason there why, but this is a reason that you won't be here put out there, why they don't build with hemp, because they get their energy from sapping our life force through the rocks that were rent in twain, it says in the book of Nephi, in the book of Mormon, and in the book of Nephi 12, and in the book of Nephi 2 and Nephi 3:12 in the book of Mormon. It gives you a description of what happens to the rocks. So the rocks are polluted and they steal your life force, they steal an acid out of your body, and that's the vapour of life. So there's a drought upon the city, where the city and the rationing of the water and the rationing of the food. The food is the word of the Lord. The rationing is the length of years, your lifespan. So if we start to build in hemp fibres and plastic like that and pull down the rocks, the children of Cain are going to get weaker, and they're going to be less numerous, and then they're going to have to be removed. So it gives a description in the Bible. Jesus says he binds all the tares together and casts them into the fire together. So maybe when all the things, you see, after World War II, this is going to sound a bit far-fetched, but I don't really get what's going on, but I know, I sort of sussed the mechanism. After World War II, lots of rock temples were destroyed, and then you have this thing in the desert in Nevada called Area 51, where they supposedly had children of Cain crashing what they call a UFO, and they found them in the desert in Area 51, and then they got technology back engineered their technology or some stuff like that. I don't know the whole story of it. But people say they were aliens. They're not aliens. They're the children of Cain. They take a couple of different forms. They can look like me and you, or they can look like them big fucking skulled aliens, or they can be giants. That's what they look like. There's no such thing as aliens. Anything you see flying around in the sky was once terrestrial, extraterrestrial, was once come from this earth. Back in the day when people lived for 1,000 years and they were able to devote 1,000 years to a crazy science. So if we had scientists now and they were able to devote 1,000 years or 500 years or 200 or 300 years to building a UFO, they would come up with all sorts of stuff. Or if they were able to devote 100 years to building the pyramids, because they lived a lot longer. So the Lord sanctioned the building of the pyramid, or the building of the Jewish temple. So when Jesus turns around and goes, "You Jews, your father is the devil." Jesus was a Hebrew. He's the king of the Jews. So he says to the Jews, "Your father was the devil." It makes a lot of sense, that statement, when he was talking to the children of desolation, the Maccabees who invaded Jerusalem beforehand. They weren't the real ones though. They were after invading, they were after doing something. They removed the book of Maccabees from the Bible. You should read the book of Maccabees, and it tells you they altered the beauty of the women and stuff like that. There's a rabbit. There's a bunny rabbit there. Anyway, that's what he's talking about. Your father was the devil, Satan. Your father was Satan, Cain. Cain went up into the leaves and he built all the cities, and he killed Abel, who was sacrificed, was on the land. That's acceptable to the Lord. The rock horse is not. So that's what you're looking at. So when he's talking to them and pulling down the Jewish temple, and not one stone would stand the one upon the other, he's putting us wide to the mechanism, because it says in the Bible, you should not lift a tool upon a stone. If you lift a tool upon a stone, you have polluted it. It means it takes your life force. So that's what's happening to us. The resurrection will happen when all them are pulled down, because the water in the Bible says Moab had been at ease from his youth, and he had not been emptied from vessel to vessel. The vessels is the ones that keeps the water alive. It's similar to something you'll see on Stargate SG-1, the movie, when they have this parasite living inside a coffin, but it's actually water vapour that's stealing from you, your life force.